Hello, Humpty Dump Nuts. It is Wednesday, March 20th in the United States. My name is DJ Bean, and this is What Chaos. To my left is Pete Blackburn. Over there is Sean DePaz. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm good. How are you? How you feeling?
You wouldn't even believe it. I'm crazy good. I'm so good. I was probably okay to maybe come in yesterday. I'm okay to come in today, but we're doing a safe buffer. Keeping distance, and the remote thing is fun. Our remote shows have some nice energy, so I'm not too afraid of being away too long.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like the 2-box, and I wouldn't hate kind of getting into that when we're both in studio.
Oh, Sean, what do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, I have nothing to say for myself.
Do it, Cinderella.
Certainly a possibility.
Do the Whatnuts like the 2-box? I like the 2-box.
Yeah. To sound off, Humpty Dump Nuts.
I mean, they do that. Famously, you're a big get up guy, first take guy. A lot of the times on first take, they do the 2-box, even though they're both at the same desk.
They are right next to each other, and they are hammering that 2-box.
Yeah.
We would have to. There would have to be some changes made to our technology in order to make that happen. Not anything major, but we would have to buy some pieces.
Now, we know that famously this is not an Auga podcast, but if this meant we could hire Molly Karam and put her on our show, I'd be a huge fan. Best in the biz. Ace moderator, just like grounds the hell out of that absolute shit show. Love it. Love her.
This show doesn't do women. Just...
Well, the thing is, because we're so pro Oilers broadcast.
Right. We're modeling our show after the Oilers broadcast, in which not a woman to be found.
Which just has the most non-sexist, no girls allowed energy in the world. Yeah. It's just the most we didn't think of about girls energy, which isn't amazing.
You know what it is? It's just straight up dudes rock energy.
Yeah. I got to say, yesterday, a little disappointed in the Oilers broadcast. Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Mainly, I was upset, and maybe Louis had something to do with this. It was number 53 for Louis DeBrusk. It was his birthday, and I didn't see half the birthday grab-ass that we saw when it was Jack Michaels' birthday. They did a lot of grab-ass during the show, of course, but there wasn't like a big birthday cake. There wasn't a big to-do about it. I was a little disappointed in the fellas.
What do you think? Do you think it's a product of Louis not being as beloved as Jack Michaels? I can't imagine that being the case. Or maybe it's just Louis doesn't do birthdays. Maybe he's like an anti-birthday guy. I could see that being the case.
I could see Louis being a little more humble. He's Canadian. Is Jack Michaels Canadian? Jack Michaels does not strike me as Canadian.
I don't know.
Let's see.
I feel like you are the Oilers broadcast wiki on this show.
Jack Michaels, the pride of Medville, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, so I knew that he went to Ithaca College, which doesn't sound like a very Canadian behavior.
Go Bombers.
So, yeah, he's an American ice hockey announcer who is currently the play-by-play announcer for the Edmonton Oilers broadcast. Previously, Colorado Golden Kings. This guy's way older than I thought Jack Michaels is 50 years old. Damn. So maybe that's why they gave him a big ass cake.
That's probably why. It was his 50th birthday. The old round number. Also, that is way older than I expected him to be.
I was going to give him 38.
Looking at his birth year just made me really sad because he was born like the same time as my mom, and I just didn't know how old my mom was.
Nice. You know the most useless facts in the world. Well, you know all the little small facts, but you don't know how old your mom was.
She was just. I've always had a young mom, and so I just was not prepared for my mom kind of being old now. It's made me just really rocked my world.
Well,
Sorry to start off the show that way.
Yeah, sometimes we all have to face our mortality. I'll tell you what, Sean Couturier is facing his mortality in Philadelphia right now. Could he be on the trade block? I kid. But healthy scratched for the first time in his career. Lifer with the Flyers. Torts obviously having a real Torts-assance in Philadelphia. They're in playoff position, although they got the Capitals nipping at their heels in the Metropolitan. But yesterday, John Tortorella scratches Sean Couturier. Flyers go out and win anyway. A nice little victory for them. And I'll tell you what, a lot of discourse, a lot of hubbub. How do you feel about the Flyers 34 days after naming this man their captain, scratching Sean Couturier?
Yeah, so like the Tortorella thing, like we can't be surprised, right? We know that Torts doesn't play favorites. Sean Couturier has not been playing well. I don't think that we can be all that surprised because Torts has proven time and time again, he'll scratch anybody. He loves to scratch anybody. He'll do it he'll do like the goofy meme, like I'll fucking do it again, just to show you that he can. And like we always talk about Torts, that might be part of the reason that we always talk about Torts getting the most out of his group. The big thing we always say with John Tortorella, he gets the most out of his group, regardless of how much talent is there. And I think part of it is he doesn't play favorites and he holds everyone accountable. And the bigger thing to me that bothered me was you can't scratch your captain and not expect to get questions about it after the fact and be all pissy about it, especially when it happened 34 days after you named this guy captain. To go into the post-game press conference and be like curmudgeon-y Torts and be like, don't fucking ask me about that. That's pretty shitty, I think.
All right, so I'll say Couturier, 1 point in his last 9 games, 0 goals, 1 assist. In that Boston game on Saturday, which was a loss, played a season-low 11 minutes and 10 seconds. His ice time had been plummeting and plummeting and plummeting. He'd not been playing well. Clearly, there's something going on there. Torts wants to get more out of him, so he scratches him, which I think is not super-duper playoff team behavior with your captain, and even, like, not just with your captain, but, like, with your Selke winner. I feel like he's got a lot of clout there, but if anyone's going to do it, Torts is going to do it. You mentioned him in the press conference being extra pissy. Here he is after the game.
John, can you tell us your decision?
Not answering your question. Next question.
John, was there any effect, do you think, with pulling Sean Couturier from the lineup? What were you looking for from the team by making that move?
As I told you, I'm putting the players out on the ice to win a particular game, and these were the 20 that we decided to go with.
He seemed a little,
I'm not talking on Sean. I'm not debating with you. I'm not conversing with you. It's between Sean and I. So just talk to me about the game, guys.
When Sean was out, how do you think the team responded, especially?
It has nothing to do with Sean being out. You asking me about the team?
How did they respond in your eyes?
Our team played good tonight.
2 things. 1, that first question off the top, of course, was that Anthony Sanfilippo guy. So that had nothing to do with Sean Couturier. Yeah, that was just him saying, like, hey, fuck off, stop asking me. Like, he begins all of his fucking press conferences with you. Go ahead. No, not answering your question. Fuck off.
Has he been doing that the entire fucking season since the Kevin Hayes thing? I think he still is,
which is just very Curb Your Enthusiasm-y that it's just baked into all of his press conferences now. That like this Anthony Sanfilippo guy, poor guy, has become like Mocha Joe, where he's now just a rival of John Tortorella, which, folks, if you don't know, he was the Kevin Hayes' fingerprints is all over this guy with the whole Cutter Gauthier thing.
My conspiracy theory is that Torts will just like throw one of these grenades into the NHL landscape every once in a while just to get all eyes on him, just so that he can then dunk on Anthony Sanfilippo or whatever his name is and just remind the entire world that he fucking hates this guy's guts.
I gotta say, Flyers, you've been giving us a lot this year.
They have.
Sean and I had a conversation at a Bruins game recently about like which teams do we talk about the least, and we were kicking around some names. We weren't planning on doing a lot of Flyers this year. I would say we weren't planning on them being a playoff team. Sure, maybe every now and then there would be a Torts thing, but there has been constant juice from the Flyers. A lot of it has been Torts stuff, but they've been better than expected. Obviously, there's been some bad reason that we've talked about the Flyers with the Carter Hart situation and everything. But by and large, the Flyers have been entertaining as hell on and off the ice. So shout out them. The other thing is I loved are you asking me about the team? Really, really condescending. Really condescending. And that's how you should be when you're scratching your captain that nobody else in the world would scratch instead of explaining yourself. Talk to people like they're idiots.
Yeah, I think that this is the Torts experience, right? It's him doing this kind of stuff and people falling in love with him one week and then the next week ripping him to shreds and questioning his tactics and stuff like that. And you could see Couturier before the game, like after practice or whatever, very, very frustrated. And I think we have a clip of that, pretty short clip, but you can tell he's wearing the frustration.
Talked yesterday how trying to fight off frustration is this kind of testing your frustration and patience?
Definitely. Like I said, I control what I can control. It is what it is. We move on.
Have you spoken with Tortorella about this yet or no?
Somewhat, but doesn't matter honestly what I think. Gotta leave my ego aside, I guess, and hopefully the team finds a way to get a win here tonight, and I can get back into it soon.
This just solidifies to me that Torts has to explain himself at least a little bit, because obviously there's a hierarchy with players and coaches, but in today's NHL, there's a lot of player-friendly coaches who want to make sure that their players' heads are right and everything like that, and I'm sure that Torts wants his players' heads to be right, but this is a moment where Torts is putting down his stakes and everything and planting his flag and saying, I'm in charge. This captain is not in charge. This is not a big group decision. Even you have I was reading the captain announcement from the Flyers. It was all Danny Briere. So now I've got questions to ask there. But when Torts is clearly going against the grain and upsetting the player that is really his chief lieutenant to communicate his message and dissipate that throughout the room, when he's scratching that guy, there needs to be more than, I'm not talking about Sean.
Yeah, and I mean this is like the Torts experience. Like I said, it's guys falling out of favor and frustrating and pissing off guys where he doesn't necessarily need to. Brandon Dubinsky weighed in. I think we have that tweet. He just seemed pretty pissed. Yeah, this is Dubinsky saying, Torts, your taxes are getting old. Instead of scratching and embarrassing your captain, one of your best players, how about you try and tell him, I'm giving you 20 minutes tomorrow night, no matter what, with the power play and PK, and just go play free and have fun and fucking get it done. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that I would be cautious about, but also, like, when you look at the numbers, Coots hasn't been playing well. So
no, he hasn't. And Dubinsky there is going too far in the opposite direction. And right. I'm always the big, especially with the young player. Couturier isn't really a young player, but with young players, I'm always like, hey, just tell them it's gonna be okay. You're getting this ice time no matter what. Kind of the Rod Brindamore with Seth Jarvis kind of thing of like, hey, I need you to take face-offs. So you know what? You're going to go out there and you're going to take a face-off. And just like, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be what happens if I mess up. I'm giving you face-offs, that sort of thing. I like that mentality, but I think when a player is struggling as much as Sean Couturier is, the idea of John Tortorella going up to him and going so far in the opposite direction of discipline is just unrealistic. So I think that Dubinsky, who played for Tortorella in Columbus, probably has a little bit of an axe to grind, and he's making an extreme case or a dramatic example of like why what Torts is doing is wrong. I think that what Torts is doing is wrong, but I don't think that he should be going up to Sean Couturier saying like, hey buddy, 20 minutes a night, this, and this. That's not how especially John Tortorella operates.
I don't even think that what Torts is doing is wrong. I just think the way that he's handling it and his response in the aftermath is wrong and annoying and just kind of shitty. Especially nobody fucking cares about the media. Nobody's gonna shed a tear for the media or whatever. But like, don't treat the media like they're below you or they're annoying you because they asked about the captain that was named 34 days ago being a healthy scratch. And I felt like when they named Couturier the captain, that it was very weird timing. Like, number one, I thought if you had asked me before that, who's the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, I probably would have said Sean Couturier. I wouldn't have known for sure, but I would have guessed that he was the captain already. And then just like a weird time in the season to announce it, and then he goes cold a month later. He's a healthy scratch. Just the whole thing has been weirdly timed.
So you said that you don't necessarily disagree with what Torts is doing. I do. You can't scratch your captain if you're in a playoff race. I think it just opens such a big
when he has 1 point in 9 games, like 3 in his last 14.
He sucks ass right now. I definitely get that. So drop him down to the third line, do what you need to do. Also trust that Sean Couturier is going to find his way out of it. Sean Couturier is an awesome player. Selke winner, like, can contribute even when he's not being productive offensively. That's another element of it. Like, are you really a better team if you take Sean Couturier out of your lineup? I know that the most Torts tactic would be to yank him out of the lineup, make him think about what he's done, but you are, like it or not, and I feel like the Flyers' stance on this is not, you are a playoff team. Like, you are better than you thought you were going to be. If you play your cards right, you're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to get a lot of these young guys experience, which is a very, very positive thing. You can create a culture there. I think that scratching your captain on March 19th introduces too many questions that will linger for another month and a half until you're eliminated in the first round. I think it could have been avoided. I would not have scratched Sean Couturier.
Chat's pointing out that he already dropped him down the lineup, and that's why he wasn't playing many minutes. Like, he was 10, 11 minutes per day per night.
11,
playing in the bottom 6. So like, he had already been dropped down. I think that if you're going to scratch your captain, it has to be a last ditch effort, worst case scenario. And it does seem like Torts gave him some runway before that happened. It's not like he immediately jumped to doing this. And like, unless your captain is sorry to disrespect Kyle Oposo, but like, unless your captain is like Kyle Oposo, you shouldn't be scratching your captain. But it does seem like Torts gave him a lot of effort to play his way out of a healthy scratch, and he just didn't do it.
Can't scratch your captain. It's not good behavior. The other thing is...
Don't name him captain then.
Oh, I don't think the Torts wanted to.
You might be right there.
The other thing is, I don't like that this has created this is why John Tortorella must be stopped kind of discourse. I don't like any of that talk. Up. He doesn't need to be stopped. He's just doing something I think is bad behavior. He doesn't need to be stopped.
John Tortorella is a really good coach, and I am not, and neither is anybody saying John Tortorella must be stopped. I think that this is something that's going to be forgotten about in like a week, 2 weeks. It's not that big of a deal. It's hurt some feelings right now. It's not the end of the world. I think Couturier is going to be fine. Torts is going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine, and we'll forget about it. So,
also, we were dangerously close through getting getting through a full season where like Torts was a good guy the whole time. And
I did say that.
That was never going to happen.
I said like a week or two ago that this is Torts' highest likability. You know how they do like presidential, what do they call it?
Approval ratings?
Approval ratings. Yeah. This is Torts' highest approval rating in years.
He had to do something.
And now there it goes.
It's like when Marchand has gone like 100 days without a suspension, and they're like, "Oh, has he turned a new? I can't do that. Whoops."
Well, maybe
he'll be hearing about that one.
Maybe Torts saw that like viral video that was going around of him like loving puppies and was like, "Oh, don't love the public image that's becoming of me now. I need to do some crazy shit."
That's what someone said in the chat. They were like, "Well, they said kind of the opposite, that everyone's out on Torts, but then another video is going to come out of him loving puppies and children, and everyone's going to think he's a good guy."
No, I think Torts wants to be. I don't think Torts wants to be widely beloved. I think that he wants a little bit of fear around him no matter the situation.
The classic Michael Scott. He wants people to fear how much they love him.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Did you see him complimenting the media person's sneakers recently?
No.
Yeah,
That was awfully chummy.
Somebody's we're wearing like high top Converse, and he was just like,
Yeah.
"That's awesome." She tweeted about it afterwards. She was just like, "They were just Converse, but it was cool."
Yeah. He said, what did he say? Are those high whites? And she was like,
Yes.
I don't know what that means. And he was like, I like those. A little
Well,
chummy.
John Tortorella is a hockey coach. Of course he loves the high whites.
The high whites. So meaning like tall.
Stevie Y.
Means he loves
Oh,
white people
oh.
on cocaine.
Oh, high
Oh.
whites. Yeah, okay. All right. No, that was good. High whites. Not, let's see.
It wasn't the best, but
No, that was good. I'm trying to think though, like his era. He was coaching in the 90s, so yeah.
yeah,
maybe
but
not
like,
these days.
He loves
Not-
to coach like a old school
Still very
style
well-
of hockey, so I bet he would not rub his nose at some cocaine.
You know what's a cool cocaine
I
thing
don't know.
is that before it was like a drug, like people would talk about it like it was a medicine. That was always funny. Someone would say like they've taken cocaine for whatever.
I mean,
In Poor Things, when God walks down the aisle, she's like, God, you're standing. And he was like, yes, I've taken this,
Oh,
this,
yeah.
and cocaine. My body responds well to cocaine.
I mean, famously, it was in Coca-Cola. Like it was,
Yeah.
it was actually used as a medicine.
I mean, like I'm not super in the weeds here with players or whatever, but like I feel like Coke is sort of not as prevalent in hockey as
It is not.
Yeah,
It used to be.
guys aren't running around doing copious amounts of cocaine. I'm sure
Unless
that
you're
there's
a racist
I'm sure
Russian.
cocaine's still in the game. Guys still like to party, but the partying has gone down quite a bit. I think it's a product of the generation. Like guys are taking care of their bodies. Guys like don't go out and party all night anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure some do, but like a lot of guys just fucking play video games and stay inside. Which
Yeah.
my speed.
That's a big
John
change.
Tortorella. Nice.
Sweet. I was gonna ask. I've been looking at the chat. Want to know how the puns have been going?
Oh, they've been
Oh,
going.
I do.
There's been puns for everything so
Yeah.
far.
I see. Okay, good. That's what I really want to need. I saw a Sean Couturier play.
Couturier. Sean Couturier was a pretty good one.
Couturier.
Nice. Yeah, just make anything that's Humpty Dumpty or cocaine related. I think is really John Tortorella.
Sean,
Sean-
too bad he isn't playing tonight.
Yeah. Sean
Lot of good
Couturier
stuff
isn't
there.
playing tonight is so stupid.
Does cocaine still have a place in the league? Question mark.
It's true.
Does hockey have a cocaine problem? Meaning
There's
that
not enough.
They've got a problem with cocaine. They're saying no. I got a problem with you using cocaine. Yeah, what you said is very correct. We've talked a million times about like morning skates not existing or not needing to exist anymore because guys aren't drinking all night and doing cocaine all night, which probably good for the game. And then there's a lot of teams like towards the end of, let's say, the around 2010-ish area where like there were still teams that were trying to dick around with that stuff and they would just get absolutely blown away because guys were starting to learn how to take care of their bodies.
An omission on our part. The NHL famously had a guy like a month and a half ago get terminated because he posted an Instagram story of him doing cocaine.
And not the first guy over the last calendar year in Arizona that has gotten in trouble for probably being on cocaine.
That might be
It's
like
more of an Arizona thing.
It's the Scottsdale.
yeah, the
it's the
Coyotes are
Scottsdale thing.
keeping the cocaine alive.
It's that's why everyone talks about guys having the Scottsdale flu. They
That's
go
why they
and they
can't-
party and
Yeah,
things happen.
that's why they can't pay rent. They're
Spending
blowing
all
their
on
budget
coke.
on cocaine.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't use cocaine, but I do use Prize Picks. There's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Be a part of the action on Prize Picks for both. That's like the best acting I've ever done in the world. That really sounded like a
I thought you
natural
actually
flub.
messed that up.
No,
Nice.
I have not a little peek behind the curtain. I have the words written in front of me. Be part of the action on Prize Picks for both men's and women's college basketball. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you could turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. And it's quick and simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. And if you haven't played yet, what better time to start than now? The college basketball tournament has me pumped to hammer Prize Picks all throughout the weekend. Go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code WhatChaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Chat said Humpty doing a bumpty. That's pretty good. I like that.
That's why he fell off the wall.
I'm not a cocaine guy, but I'm a golf guy. I'm a golf guy, and I can't wait to get back out on the course. I'm not ready for hockey to die down, but I am ready for playoff hockey where it's maybe like a lighter slate every now and then, and I can sneak in some golf, especially now because PXG has hooked me up with a Black Ops driver. I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but they've custom fitted me. I'm waiting for it. I'm very excited to try it out. I went to the PXG location in Framingham, Massachusetts last week and had an incredible experience. My guys Darren and Brandon hooked me up with the PXG Black Ops driver challenge. Basically show up with your current driver, which for me was the Nike Sumo. It's a relic. I've had it since high school. That thing sounds like nothing you've ever heard in your life before. And I showed up. They saw me swing that thing. They were like, wow, you are really, really compensating and not getting the most out of your drives because you're trying to compensate for this Nike Sumo, which isn't doing you a lot of favors. So I tried out the Black Ops driver, and they tweaked it and helped me get a ton of distance, a ton of control. Very, very excited. The PXG guys are incredible. They've got a bunch of great merch. I don't know how much you know about PXG, but it's like it was founded by a guy, Mr. Parsons, who has like 20 companies. He's a crazy entrepreneur, former military guy. They've got incredible merch. I hope I can get my hands on some of that stuff coming up too. But very excited to use the Black Ops driver. So if you want to do the same thing that I did, go to a PXG location, bring your current driver, and let them show you how you can get the most out of your drive with the Black Ops driver. Game Changer has been thrown around a lot. It's lost its meaning, but trust me when I tell you the PXG driver is a true game changer. You'll be as impressed with it as I am, and I was when I tried it out. Learn more and get free shipping on all equipment at pxg.com/whatchaos. That's pxg.com/whatchaos for free shipping on all equipment. That's pxg.com/whatchaos.
PXG also founded in Scottsdale.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Famously a great golf place.
Yeah, Mr. Parsons, founder of GoDaddy.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the company was that like
Danica
made him a
Patrick.
shitload of money. But yeah, he founded GoDaddy and like 20 other companies.
I rock with PXG because for me, I suck at golf, and I'm a big just look good guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like PXG is my kind of look good. They're very modern.
So when they were bringing me through all the merch and stuff, it's very, very detail oriented, and I like that. And I think that's something that like you nerd out about like details and stuff. And they have like, because he's former military, they have a lot of camo stuff, but the camo stuff is like it's one of the things that they showed me was the camo was like the outlines of famous courses.
Oh,
like
that's
the
hard.
holes.
Yeah, I do. That
was very, very cool. And I thought
now.
that was awesome. His wife apparently does all the merch and he does all the golf stuff.
That's a fucking power couple right there.
What a company.
All right, we've got Ryan Blow Riley, TJ Snowshy, Owen Powder, Patrick Cocaine, Snowloff Kolzig. This one's just a golf one. John Tortorella. Great job, everybody.
Jesperi Kokaniemi.
Kokaniemi is very good. Linus
Coconuts
Olmark is okay, but it's Linus Olmark, so you gotta play around with the pronunciation there. But good stuff in there. We've had a pretty uneventful GM meeting so far. Really nothing doing through the first 2 days. Nothing happening with 3-on-3. Nothing happening with regrouping in OT. LTIR stuff. Maybe like Bill Daly told the GMs, hey, discuss if there's anything you want us to at some point bring to the Players Association, and then maybe we could do that in a few months. But really, it's been the puck over the glass challenge and high sticking challenges. So it's looking like that's what we're getting out of all this.
Yeah, the big disappointment for me is that they considered moving to 7-minute 5-on-5 and didn't. I mean, like, I don't think it's like totally necessary, but I would have liked to see an increased time on 3-on-3, in overtime. But whatever. I mean, you mentioned Bill Daly. Bill Daly also this morning denied a connection between CTE and repeated head blows a day after Chris Simon was announced the suicide. Like, really poor timing on that. Maybe not the best look for Bill Daly today.
And also, we are past like it is like repeated shots to the head cause CTE. We are so past the point of there not being enough science for that.
He said the science is still lacking when asked about if medical studies show a definitive link between CTE and repeated blows to the head. I'm with Sean there, where, like, not to be an asshole, but yes, they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a
science is
guy.
not lacking.
I'm not a science guy. I'm not a smart guy. I feel like I'm a common sense guy. I realize that I don't necessarily have the same responsibilities or, duties as Bill Daly with his connections to the NHL. But it's kind of like a read the room kind of deal, especially this week. I would have not said that.
I would just say that for all people in positions of power, we're not going to judge you. Whenever you're asked a question that seems pretty open and shut, just follow up with, why do you ask, before you answer the question? Because maybe you'll get the follow-up of, like, oh, somebody just died again yesterday. And then you just
turn it into, like, well, condolences for their loss. Like, he was a great player. And you essentially, like, deflect from that question. But to be like, the science is lacking is just, we have the internet. We have so many researches that have been done. I don't want to get too deep into this, but, like, tough look for Bill Daly.
And also, like, you don't even have to be, like, no one is looking at the NHL. Like, the NFL exists, and it was clear that that's a huge problem over there. Like, it's an opportunity for you guys to kind of be like, and by you guys, I mean the NHL, to be like trailblazers in this, as opposed to just making the same mistakes that the NFL has been making for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, good point by Alex in the chat. Said, like, Daly easily could have been like, we're working on additional research. We're trying to get as much
100%.
information as we possibly can, rather than being like, I seen the science. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Aaron Rodgers.
I think the science is still lacking is such a tough sentence. I'm trying to give this guy a little bit of wiggle room, but he didn't leave any for himself, saying, I think the science is still lacking. Not amazing. In more positive news, we're out here throwing bears on the ice. You know this? People are throwing bear costumes on the ice. David Pastrnak registered his 17th hat trick of his career last night in the Bruins win over the Senators. People threw hats because we started a thing last week where if a team does something you like, you throw hats on the ice. They did it in Edmonton. Connor Brown scored a goal. They did it in Edmonton. Zach Hyman scored 3 goals. Throwing hats, it's the new craze. Last night in Boston, someone throws a whole-ass bear costume on the ice. I want Sean's thoughts on this because Sean famously recently said Boston fans don't know puck and that they should be doing more stuff with actual bears.
Yeah, I mean, this is peak. I love it. Everything about it. Especially because that the woman who had this was probably like a thing that she has to wear to Bruins games. And she was like, well, it's on my head, kind of. This shit's going on the ice.
So that was my biggest takeaway. That girl rocks.
Hero, yeah.
Absolutely awesome move. I feel like that's a pass the vibe check move. Like, that couldn't have been super cheap. And that's like your entire personality if you wear that to a game.
Yeah.
And if a hat trick happens and you're willing to throw that on the ice, you definitely pass the vibe check. And it's certainly worth it because now she has the coolest. She lost an expensive coat, but now she has the coolest story.
Yeah, the cool part to me too was there's footage of her just like living life in the crowd before she ended up throwing, because she was wearing this giant bear, so the camera found her, and she was just like having a good night. She had some drinks, was with a friend of hers, it looked like, and was just living it up. And then she got to throw it on the ice, and it made the game like it was cool.
Oh, this is awesome. Chat is explaining the lore behind this. It's it was a mom and a daughter having a night. The mom, it was the mom who threw her bear suit. The game staff found her after the game, and Pasta gave him his stick. Gave them his stick for it. That's pretty great.
Okay,
very cool.
I like that.
I assume that they would get something because it became such a. It became such a like a theme of the night. It was the most covered part of the Bruins game. So I assume that the Bruins would find that woman and at least repay some sort of thing. And that's cool that Pasta gave him a stick.
I would like if the chat could find how much this sort of jacket / hood / headdress costs. I just did a quick Google, couldn't find it. I believe this is the workaholics thing, this item of clothing, but I'm not able to find it. We are getting just so many bear names in the chat. I'm not seeing Connor Brown bear. I would think that would be an easy one, but what about Eric Koala?
For
Eric Holla?
Oh.
Koala is a type of bear.
Yeah, I did know that. Hurricanes fans not a big fan of that nickname.
They don't like that nickname. I'll tell you what, though. I love throwing jackets on the ice, and not just bear ones. If you don't have a hat, whatever you got is good. As long as it's not, like, as long as it doesn't suck, throwing some ridiculous stuff out there could be really cool. Like, you want to throw some mittens, I'd be game.
I'll tell you what, my experience last night during the Bruins game is Pastrnak scored the hat-trick goal. I was doing some stuff on my computer in the immediate aftermath, and I heard Andy Brickley say, "That's not a hat," when it happened. And I looked up and I missed it, and I had to rewind. And as I was rewinding, my first thought was, I bet somebody threw like a dildo on the ice, because to have the announcer be like, "Whoa, that's not a hat." My mind immediately went to being something that shouldn't have been thrown on the ice. Luckily, it wasn't. But I do like the idea of throwing fun novelty items on the ice for hat tricks. Not during the course of play or whatever, but like, you know, whatever the most interesting thing you have on your person, throw that on the ice.
Okay, so I like the idea of potentially sneaking stuff in. Like, what if you just threw like hockey pants on the ice?
No.
People
Won't register.
when refs what's that?
Won't register. Like, people are throwing dead animals on the ice. You kind of, if you're going to throw it on the ice, it has to be interesting enough. Like, the bear thing was interesting enough because it was like themed, it was tied to the Bruins, but like throwing a pair of pants isn't necessarily gonna move the needle. Somebody in Toronto threw a bra earlier in the season, and I thought that was funny. That was interesting.
No, bra is so cliche. Bra.
Oh no, that wasn't in Toronto. That was in Colorado because it was for Nathan McKinnon.
But if you throw hockey pants, it's going to confuse people. The refs are going to say, did a player's pants fall off? Why are there pants on the ice? It's not like you're just throwing jeans on the ice. That would be stupid. I'm saying get some like nice CCM pants, team color, throw them on the ice, and then when like the refs will have to go by each bench and be like, "Hey, did one of your players' pants fall off?"
Jeans hit harder for me. That would be hilarious if there was just a pair of like Levi's on the ice.
The reason that jeans would hit harder for me is because it would force me to wonder whether somebody removed their jeans and threw them on the ice.
It's the same question that you'd be having. I like turning it on the players, but the bra thing again is just like a little. That's just been done a million times.
But boobs are cool.
I was researching, trying to find the bear thing, and I came across a Quora thing of someone looking about how I could find it, and everyone's response was, "Go kill a bear. Just go hunting and do it yourself."
Don't like that.
Somebody said throw a goalie pad on the ice, like a leg pad. Again, like just to see if the refs will look. Just to see if you make them look. Like any of... Does one of the goalies skate over here and lose a pad?
Or you're getting a little
I just
dangerous. Like if a goalie pad comes flying out of the stands and hits somebody in the head, like that's gonna knock them over at least.
I forget where it was, but earlier this week, I saw my first instance of a delayed hat trick celebration where a hat was thrown on the ice during play. I don't think I've ever seen that. And
Whoa.
it was
I don't
like
think I have
it was
either.
in the corner, and like it caused a real like moment of panic. They're like, "Get that hat out of there." And I think that was the first time that I've seen that happen.
I like the idea that the guy was just like in the bathroom when he came back. He's like, I've never done this before. I'm not missing this. Just threw it anyways.
Yeah,
He ran to the pro shop, bought a hat, came back, and
That's
threw
exactly
it on the
what
ice.
happened, yeah.
I like the guy returned from the bathroom. What happened? What did I miss? So-and-so scored a hat trick. Oh, hell yeah. And then he just throws his hat on the ice. That'd also be great if everybody's reaction to finding out about a hat trick, whether it's in real time or not, is to just throw their hat. Like if you didn't see the Bruins game last night, and I'm just telling you now, David Pastrnak scored a hat trick, you just fucking rip that thing off and let it fly.
There we go.
Like me throwing money in the studio farther than your weak arm ever could.
Let me ask you this question. Me and Sean had a very light discussion pre-show. Is this the trade deadline? Is this trade deadline like the most, like the highest batting average for acquisitions? Because I feel like every player that was acquired at the trade deadline is kind of awesome for their new team.
We did leave out one.
Who?
You mentioned earlier, Kyle
Okposo, yeah. But he wasn't even awesome for his old team.
That is true. But he
He's just
somehow
the same
managed. At least
player.
he was playing for the old team. For the record, this came up because Duke has 4 points in 4 games for the Lightning.
Ooh, love that for Duke. Love what's been going on in Carolina. Love what's been going on. I mean, last night you had Adam Henrique score his first goal with the Oilers. So yeah, mostly these are good acquisitions. I don't know. I'll tell you what. You know who kind of stinks? Andrew Peeke.
What? He's been fine.
No, I was watching. I disagree with the broadcast last night. They were like, "Hey, Shattenkirk looks really good on this pairing with Andrew Peeke," and I'm like, "So you traded for Andrew Peeke to establish that Kevin Shattenkirk can be better than somebody?"
I mean, Kevin Peeke is essentially like the guy
Kevin
who
Peeke.
everybody thought that he was.
You don't like him.
You
Just called
don't
him Kevin Peeke.
You don't get to call a trade a failure when you traded for like a replacement level player and he turned out to be a replacement level player. So that's like my Kyle
like
Okposo
not everything
stand.
is okay. So, I'm not saying that he's terrible, but I'm just saying like he is. What
Nobody's been a
thought he was.
disappointment. I don't think. Like Adam Henrique got his first goal for the Oilers last night.
goal.
So like he might be the most disappointing acquisition so far, but he hasn't been bad by any means.
No.
How
It
have the
doesn't
Vegas
count.
guys been?
Say again?
The Vegas guys. How I feel like I haven't heard anything about the acquisitions they've made.
Well, I mean, Hurdle's
not playing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not playing.
true.
Hannafin's just been kind of quiet.
Let's see how Anthony Mantha's been.
I mean,
Anthony Mantha
that
was-
might be the closest point where it's like the Vegas guys haven't launched them. I mean, like, we're still having a discussion whether or not Vegas
they're still
makes
wild
the
cardy.
playoffs. Yeah, right.
They're still very wild cardy.
That would be fucking
Anthony Mantha has
crazy.
1 goal. Anthony Mantha has 1 goal in 6 games with
He was at the UFC this weekend, and he got like the celebrity treatment where they put him on camera and they put his name up there.
Was
like,
it in Vegas?
Vegas forward or Vegas player Anthony Mantha. I was like, hell yeah.
I was going to say this, by the way, on Adam Henrique when we were talking about potential rule changes. He had a child 9 days before he was traded. And so that's why if he's not amazing right out the gate, I'm imagining that's kind of weird trying to move while all that's happening and being away from your newborn. And there's been like teary interviews and everything. My heart breaks for the guy. Should there be a rule where you get a no trade clause if you have a baby within a month of the trade deadline? I initially was going to propose this, but it gives an unfair advantage to sex havers because they can just have sex and then not get traded.
Exactly. Yeah, I think no, absolutely not. And I think the responsibility falls on the player to
not have sex,
not be fucking when there's the timeline of like, hey, 9 months from now is around the trade deadline, especially if you're Adam Henrique on an expiring deal and you're playing for the Anaheim Ducks. You got to have the foresight to be to be like, hey, I could be on the block. I got to think with my brain, not with my dick.
The problem you run into, though, is that when you look at what 9 months before the trade deadline is, it's like the end of the season. So that seems like prime fucking time.
No, shouldn't be having sex then either.
Yeah, I mean that's what I call grind time.
Yeah, not working on the game.
Not that kind of grind time. The grind time in the season, because you're trying to solidify a playoff spot. You're talking about game 70 to 82. Lock it in. No sex, buddy. Absolutely
I'll be honest.
None.
I can't think of a single time where I think it's appropriate for a professional athlete to have sex. If they take their craft seriously, I think they should be doing no sex at all. And plus, with this epidemic of players having sex, now when the guys get traded, people know, oh, well, that person's not having sex, because if they were having sex, they would have just had a baby, and then we would have felt bad for them and talked about how they should have a no trade clause. So
that'd be tough seats if you got traded off of, like, you got traded away from a contender or something like that, or like that guy. Not only does he have to go live in Winnipeg now, which bad example in this situation because they are a contender, but not only that, also just not getting laid.
That's the old saying: if you don't use it, you lose it. And it is the roster spot. If you don't use your penis, you lose your roster spot.
Okay, we are now, of course, I just checked into the chat to see if people were doing whatever the fuck conversation we're having right now, puns. And
to catch
we got
the chat up,
Adam Hornreek.
To catch the chat up, we are in on cocaine and we are out on sex in the NHL.
Out on sex. That's over. That's been over for quite a while, buddies. Okay? Adam Sex Reek. All right.
The reason that I brought that up is because Jake Guentzel is awesome in Carolina. In 5 games since Guentzel arrived to Carolina.
4 goals in 5 games.
Say again?
4 goals in his last 5 games.
4 goals in his last 5 games. He's been on the
5
ice.
goals in his last 4
Why
games.
do you keep interrupting me?
Because I'm trying to fucking tell you, and you keep starting when I'm saying it.
Because I started, and then you interrupted me. So you don't get to say that I interrupted you when you interrupted me.
You're asking to give it. You're trying to say the information that I wrote down, and I'm telling it to you. He has goals in 4 straight games. I'm sorry. He has goals in 2 straight games. You're thinking of Jarvis.
That's not who I'm thinking of.
Go ahead, then.
I'm talking about Jake Guentzel, who since arriving in Carolina has played 5 games, and the Carolina Hurricanes have outscored opponents 6-0 while he's been on the ice. So, like, he's been awesome. He's kind of unlocked another level of Seth Jarvis. I think those two have shown that they have a lot of chemistry right off the bat, which is very exciting to me because I think that when we talked about Jake Guentzel's arrival and what that team needs, it needs scoring, it needs high-end players, and to get Jake Guentzel to unlock another level of Seth Jarvis, very exciting to me. And I think the one thing that I've kind of, my eyes have been opened a little bit over the past couple of weeks is I think a lot of people pin Jake Guentzel as like the guy who rides on Sidney Crosby's wing and just buries a lot of goals. Jake Guentzel is a great playmaker. That has been very evident in the early goings in Carolina. A very, very, very good playmaker and not just like a merchant and a scorer.
Yeah, the big part of that, I think, is that, like, I don't want Carolina to have to just load up one line, which is what they're doing, because they're doing Guentzel, Aho, and Seth Jarvis. And Jarvis is having a really good season on the wing. Eventually want him to be a center, but for now, he's just going to be a right wing. He's scoring goals. What makes this all work is Evgeny Kuznetsov. If he can be a good second-line center, then the Hurricanes can keep doing this. And if he can't be a good second-line center, then you're going to go up against any team in the playoffs with 2 lines that has one good defensive center, and then you're going to fucking lose. So a lot of this ends up falling on Evgeny Kuznetsov, but otherwise, you can just split those guys up. I'd still like to eventually see Guentzel and Aho and Jarvis split up so they could have a little more balance in their lineup.
Yeah, it's very exciting to me, and especially like the big conversation that we had is like, who is Jake Guentzel away from the Penguins? Turns out he still kind of rocks, it seems, and I like that a lot. Very excited about it.
Okay, and meanwhile, A lot of action in overtime last night. Patrick Kane winning it in overtime for the Red Wings against the Blue Jackets. It was very, very, very predictable that the Blue Jackets were going to fuck shit up for the Red Wings last night, but they end up coming back and winning in overtime. So the Capitals still have a better points percentage than the Red Wings for second wildcard spot, but the Red Wings lead in points at the moment. They're kind of sort of getting their legs back, and yeah, it takes a win over the Blue Jackets to do that, I guess, but don't sleep on these Red Wings.
I'm still sleeping on them. I mean, to have that much of an adventure against Columbus in a game, like, you can't be as unprepared as Detroit was heading into that game. You can't claw back against one of the worst teams in the league. Sure, you take the 2 points, you take them any way you can get them, but like that is not particularly galvanizing in my book. I do also have to point out, Chad is distractingly good today. Evgeny gets nuts off.
Emily, I think,
Whoa.
wins. Zach Hyman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
There you go.
Gets nuts off has to be the best one.
Yeah. Evgeny gets nuts off is so good.
Willie Nylander.
It's a great day for the chat.
Somebody just said Willie Nylander. Willie being the penis, I suppose. That's really good. Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid doing the magic last night. I will take those two in overtime all the live long day. And they always play. I told you last night, I said it's going to be an exciting game. Canadians and Oilers go to overtime. It's what they do. They went to overtime again. McDavid to Draisaitl, game winner. Mwah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just like the Edmonton difference, right? Like, you can do whatever you want to try to stop those guys, but talent will prevail in those particular situations where it's Draisaitl and McDavid. And like, what are the Canadians going to do in that situation? A big win for the Oilers, even if it was against Montreal. Like, you need all the points you can get if you're the Oilers right now heading down the stretch. I'm getting more and more excited about Edmonton and their like realistic chances of making a deep run in the postseason based off the way that they've been playing in the second half. Like, I feel like all the pieces are there, man. I'm getting real excited about the Oilers.
I didn't love that Knobloch was kind of dicking around with the lines last night. I don't like
But this is the time to do it. Like, you know,
I know it is. And like, I saw that fans were getting mad when the lines came out yesterday, and I was doing the, hey, don't worry, this is when you should be dicking around with lines, but still watching it, I'm not crazy about like a Kane, McDavid, Hyman first line. Just keep Kane in the bottom six at this point. But
I mean, I bet they're not crazy about it either, but they're going to, you throw out a million combinations, see if something sparks and hits where you may not expect it to, especially when you're going up against a Montreal. Like, you can experiment in a game like that and not have it come back to bite you in the ass if it doesn't work out. Obviously, it was a close game, but like, this is the time where you do that kind of stuff.
I think it's more about just making sure that every possible combination has some experience with one another.
Right,
so
exactly.
If injuries happen and they have to throw shit together, nobody's super confused. Gene was on one though. He went fishing. He did like a camping themed open, which was really, really good. You see him there just with a fishing rod in the stands. Like, was there a hook there?
I think someone's listening to What Chaos, because this was exactly what I suggested you do for the hat tricks. So you bring in a fishing pole.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, it's such a shame there wasn't a hat trick last night.
Now we have to open up the Photoshop machine and just add a line and a hat at the end of it. But what a journey for us yesterday! What a journey for us yesterday, talking about, you know, it might be a national game, so we're not going to have any fun with the broadcast. Turns out it wasn't a national game, and plenty of fun.
Yeah, love it. And it was not. It wasn't quite an A, but it was a very good slate. And tonight's slate, as we do a slate grade presented by Game Time, is not amazing, but keep an eye peeled, because I've been peeking ahead at slates, and we have some good slates, maybe even tomorrow, coming up. Tonight has 3 games. 7:30 p.m. U.S. Leafs at Capitals, 8 p.m. U.S. Coyotes at Stars, 10 p.m. U.S. Wild at Kings. Look, folks, there isn't a game here that I really care about. Leafs at Capitals.
Leafs at Capitals. That's got to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one.
Well, and it's going to be a good one in the sense that, like, you can watch it with a purpose. You may not have the best time, but there are real stakes in that game. So that factors into the Slate grade, or it should.
I'll tell you what, if I could give a B+, this could be the first B+. I do not like this slate at all.
Structure's good.
Very nice structure. 7:30. No, it's not. Start earlier. Start at 7.
7:30 is an ideal start time for hockey.
Oh, really?
I like the 7:30 starts a lot.
Give me the hard 7.
I'm a 7:30 guy because I tend to lose track of time, and then I'll look at the clock at like 7:05, 7:10. I'm like, oh fuck, I missed the first few minutes. Can't happen if a game's 20 minutes later.
DJ's not a sex guy, but he's asking for the hard 7.
That's right. I'll tell you what. None of us are sex guys. We're hockey guys. Yeah. We don't want players getting. Wait, if we don't want players getting traded, what would we be, sex guys or not?
You would be sex guys then if you don't want the guys to get traded. You want them to be having sex in like May, so they are having kids in February.
Yeah, because if they have sex and they get their significant other pregnant, then they become untradeable.
Could you imagine if a player had a kid and when it's like the reporter's like, oh, hi, daddy, this your first one, do all that sort of stuff. What if a reporter was like, so if now is whatever month, so you would have been, so would you have sex in May? Do you have, so when would that sex have been? The one for this baby you had. Do you remember?
We gotta find a player that we're comfortable enough with that we can push that line of questioning.
Yeah, just be like, so and so opens up about being a dad, and we're like, when did you have sex for this baby?
I mean, that's one of my favorite things ever when like someone has a kid 9 months after they won the championship in whatever sport, and it's like that you clearly were celebrating. Congrats.
Remember the Super Bowl did that whole like Super Bowl baby commercial?
Yes.
That was so fucking weird.
I loved it. Are you kidding me?
So weird.
No, that's awesome. Because it like I love commercials like that tap into something like very uniquely human. And like it is a very like, you know, like if the Bills won the Super Bowl right now, I'd be trying to have kids. Like fuck it. I'm trying to celebrate.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it's weird for like the kids to participate in a Super Bowl commercial, which is celebrating your parents fucking after a specific event.
Fair, but
that's
most
super
of them
weird.
Like there was a lot of babies. It's like some of them probably don't even fully conceptualize what's going on there.
So strange. Also, if you're able to like pinpoint the exact time when you had a child, I feel like you should be having sex more.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're a pro athlete,
I've always been a little confused by that.
If you're a pro athlete,
they're like,
though,
oh, we know when it was.
I mean, I get it for people that had sex like one time, like if it was a hookup or something, and they got pregnant, like you know that it happened after a certain event. But if like you're dating somebody and you can pinpoint the exact moment of conception, you guys got to be fucking more.
But like, guys are pro
athletes. It also depends on like what precautions are taken when.
True.
That's fair.
Not just like we were sexually active during this time. Like when could it have been? Smoking gun, if you will.
First off, someone said in the chat, Brady Tkachuk just announced that he's I don't know if he's married, but he's expecting a kid. So
Senator's having a bad season. Maybe
you should be
focusing more on
Brady Tkachuk.
Maybe you should be focusing more on the game.
But what I was gonna say is like they're pro athletes, so like they're not. It's not like they're always home. So it might be a little easier if like 9 months ago you were on like a giant road trip. Well, you were only home one day. You can kind of put it together. Or again, like if guys are winning championships and then it happens 9 months later, you could probably narrow it down to the celebrations that you were having.
I love the idea of like a team winning a championship and then like 9 months later, all of their wives are having babies.
Also, I famously a big Letterkenny podcast, Shoresy, that's like a storyline in the second season is that they are trying to like not lose any games. And so Shoresy's like, you guys have to stop having sex. And so maybe guys are getting to like the playoffs, getting to the end, and they're just like, I got to lock it in, not having sex until this shit's over.
Hell yeah. Pete, did you do a like spike?
I did not do a like spike. We have not like spike. So if you're here at the very end of the episode, congratulations. You are now a part of the like spike. In 3, 2, 1, hit that like button. It's the thumbs up icon right below the video player on YouTube. Please hit that button. It helps us. Also, if you're not subscribed on the YouTube channel, do that right now. We will appreciate you forever. We are closing in on 5,000 subscribers. Need to hit that benchmark for our own personal
Very important.
gain. Yeah.
We're fucked otherwise. And I ain't talking about the having kids kind of fucked. I'm talking about just the useless, nothing to gain kind of fucked.
Somebody dropped a Brady Cuck. I don't know how to say that like smoothly.
I prefer
Cuck.
So you got to just drop the H and go.
Cuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anger in the chat for the lack of ovulation awareness in amongst this show. Somebody said Mika Zibanejad. Somebody said Alex Ovulakin. That not really. I don't think so.
Evgeny Dadonov.
That's good. Connor Badad.
Can't imagine.
That's really, really good. Okay. Well, I will be back in person tomorrow, and we will have a guest on the show tomorrow. It'll PA Parento. That's amazing.
Nice.
That's very, very good. So we'll talk to you tomorrow. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube or haven't gotten everyone you know to subscribe on YouTube, please make sure you do that. Also, we never drive people to our socials. We're surpassing the subscribers on YouTube. We have more subscribers on YouTube than we do on our socials now, which is weird. So make sure you're subscribed on Instagram and TikTok and all those things as well. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a lovely day.
We all silly like the mayor.